Hello everyone, welcome to yet another day in this The Clown Decade, the decade where things are going to get worse before they get better. And today we're going through something that in the past I've not particularly cared about, because who cares about art? But as I've grown older, I've come to realise that art is actually a very useful aspect of life that, well, can either reflect reality or influence reality. And Labour, whether they know it or not, are reflecting a reality that they want with their actions when it comes to their decisions on art pieces in Downing Street and Parliament since coming to power. And we've been drip-fed these articles ever since they got into power, and this article, for example, is from September of last year. Rachel Reeves to replace number 11 paintings with art of or by women. Stateroom artworks will be of or by women, as Reeves celebrates becoming the first female Chancellor, and obviously this was before she really announced the budget, and everyone realised that she was just terrible at her job. But as you can see in the picture here, number 11 has a portrait of William Gladstone. But no, speaking to a reception for female business leaders on Wednesday evening back in September, the Chancellor said she wanted to mark the lives of the amazing women who have gone before us. Addressing the all-female gathering, she said, "This is King James behind me, but next week the artwork in this room is going to change. Every picture in this room is going to be of a woman or by a woman, and we're also going to have a statue in the room of Millicent Fawcett, who did so much for the rights of women." Yeah, it's a revolutionary act. Millicent Fawcett is probably the least offensive person that they could choose, to be fair, or one of the least offensive, because at least she was a suffragist and not part of the terrorist suffragettes. However, those of you with good memories will remember, as one of the portraits of a woman was actually Ellen Wilkinson, who was a communist in the early 20th century Britain, and was actually leader of the Communist Party, which I've covered before, but as it turned out, it really did not bode well for future art installations, not only in Downing Street but in Parliament, but we'll get into it. As not long after this, Paula Rego paintings replaced Royal Portrait at number 10 Downing Street. In a major rehang, scenes from Reno's mural Crivel's Garden have appeared in place of portraits of Queen Elizabeth I and Sir Walter Raleigh. And as you can see from this wide shot of Keir Starmer with President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine and NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, it just doesn't look great, does it? It's not quite the grand British spectacle you would be expecting in rooms like this, where everything's grand. There's still a fireplace that looks like it's been ripped straight out of the 18th century, grand sofas and regal-looking sofas either side, and then you've just got modern art pieces that bring the whole tone down. Not quite as grand as Elizabeth I or Sir Walter Raleigh. When people talk about soft power, it's things like this that really do matter. You need Britain to look grand. We were a great empire, and keeping that nostalgia in place is really important for our international image. And replacing it with, frankly, foreign, because it was a Portuguese artist, foreign pastel paintings that, while are actually fairly good for modern art, do bring the tone down from the regal setting you would expect in a place like this. And again, this was back in October of 2024, but as I say, things get worse, because now we get to this month, and Reeves has replaced even more portraits of former PMs with art commemorating the lockdowns. The lockdowns, of all things. No, replace this portrait of Benjamin Disraeli. Replace it with an abstract piece where it looks like someone's losing their mind and wants to off themselves. Paintings of senior politicians and royalty at number 11 axed in favour of artworks depicting social distancing and COVID anxiety. A bust of Benjamin Disraeli is among the artworks to have been removed from Downing Street, while works including COVID Anxiety 5 (mask disorder) by Donna Coleman have been added. Again, it's the classic modern leftist thing. I'm not here to say women artists suck or anything like that, but it's really not doing you favours when great pieces of art like Benjamin Disraeli here, I presume created by a man, otherwise it would still be in number 11, look objectively more grand, more, not quite regal, he wasn't a royal after all, but just much more dignified and much more outwardly muscular with our own history than this piece of artwork on the right that just looks depressing. Why would you want this? Honestly, part of the reason that Rachel Reeves probably looks depressed is because she surrounds herself with artwork like that. I'm not even joking. But as I say, it's not doing wonders for the "oh, aren't women artists great" type thing that leftists try and push, because no, compare these two pieces of art, there's one that is clearly objectively better in every way. So once again, the Chancellor has been removing portraits depicting her predecessors David Lloyd George and Benjamin Disraeli, both of whom led the Treasury before leading the country. Portraits of monarchs have also disappeared from number 11's walls and been replaced by abstract depictions of social distancing and COVID anxiety. It's just so embarrassing. The changes follow a commitment by the Chancellor to remove artworks featuring male sitters and created by male artists. At number 11, Sir Keir Starmer has taken down portraits of Elizabeth I, Walter Raleigh, Margaret Thatcher, at least that's one I can understand with him, and William Shakespeare. It's as I say in the title, this is a quiet revolution. They are surrounding themselves with pieces of art that follow their own ideology. In other words, this artwork can look absolute gash, but it was created by a woman and therefore has to be better than all these disgusting men who came before us. Well, in some cases, women such as Elizabeth I. It's no secret that they do not like our history and in some cases even hate it. And if you want proof, I don't understand how these actions show you anything different. What is better than a Benjamin Disraeli bust? Apparently, it is a picture of an abstract piece of art depicting people having mental health issues during lockdown. By the way, Labour are in favour of harder lockdowns, so it doesn't even make sense from that perspective. So the PM has been accused of Philistinism by Sir Oliver Dowden when the Telegraph revealed that the portrait of Shakespeare had been taken down, leaving no image of the globally revered writer in Downing Street. All works are part of the government art collection, often used to project British soft power during official visits. Again, you have done the opposite. You have made us look like a depressed country that can't help but hate ourselves. Well done. Incoming ministers are entitled to use the collection to decorate their offices. Fine, that doesn't mean they should. From the collection of 15,000 works, Ms. Reeves has selected a piece entitled COVID Anxiety 5 for display. The work by Donna Coleman features an abstract human head formed by red squiggles and appears alongside another work, Misunderstood, which features a charcoal swirl fronted by a black square. The artist has said the paintings explore how social media affects people's well-beings. They are replacing people of our great history for this type of thing. I can't call it anything other than a disaster revolution, because that is what our government currently are in pursuit of. Complete disaster and complete revolution. Unfortunately, at least from the looks of the polls, people are waking up to the fact that they don't actually like that. Anyway, I could go through the rest of this article. The only statuette that I think is the least offensive, but frankly still is probably somewhat offensive, is the statuette of Millicent Forsyth. And the main reason that I find this offensive is because there's still propaganda pieces on this statuette. And the statue in Parliament Square I think isn't great either. You've got to realise, all the other statues on Parliament Square, pretty much every other statue in Britain actually, it doesn't need literal propaganda writing on these statues. They just have the statues and usually there'll be a little plaque with their name on, and that'd be it. And instantly people would usually either say, oh, who's that, I wonder who it is, oh, Mahatma Gandhi did XYZ in India, but here they need a propaganda piece saying courage to all, calls to courage everywhere. Oh, this was Millicent Forsyth. It's not a good statue if you have to have propaganda writing on a placard in front of the woman, or man, or whatever. You know, the Churchill statue, it's just a statue of Churchill saying Churchill on it, and that's almost aggressively chest-thumpingly, you know who this is, type of statue, which is like that for most major statues in Britain. Yet you put this woman in Parliament Square, instantly you need to be like, oh, this woman was with the suffragists, by the way. You won't know her really, but trust us, she was good. And it just doesn't look as good when it comes to other statues on Parliament Square there. And of course the statuette's now in number 11, which just makes everything even more embarrassing. Anyway, I could go through all the blackpilling people they've removed and added here, but instead we'll move to another article, which is still very blackpilling. Churchill portraits removed from Parliament after Labour's victory. Drawings, prints and photographs of Second World War leader were taken down following the arrival of new MPs in Westminster. It's kind of nuts to me how the only people on the right I see celebrating this are more dork right type people who've been having a go at Churchill for years. Once again, horseshoe theory is nothing but vindicated here. This article, by the way, was from 2 days ago. Churchill's legacy has been revised in recent years, with some academics and activists arguing that he was a racist imperialist who was responsible for the Bengal famine, and for some reason the dork right think he's cringe. 5 images of two-time Prime Minister were removed from parts of the parliamentary estate occupied primarily by MPs' offices. 1 photograph removed from Portcully's house, Parliament's main office building, showed Churchill standing at the cenotaph in 1945. Images of other Great Britons, including the Duke of Wellington, were also removed from display after Labour's victory. The portraits form part of the Parliamentary Art Collection, a repository of 10,000 works from which MPs can choose for the purpose of decorating their offices. And again, it's one of those cases of just because you can doesn't mean you should. This is showing what Labour think. They do not care for our historical figures. They do not care for the mythology of Britain and the stories we tell ourselves. To them, the most important thing is more women, because they still think it's 2014 for some reason. And the rest of this article is just more blackpilling of, oh, here are other grey men that they've taken down, but I'm going to skip to the real reason I have made this video today, and something I could probably talk about for 20 minutes. Lord Nelson painting scrapped in Parliament's diversity drive. The naval hero, latest historical casualty of MP-led review of Westminster art linked to slavery and racism. Yeah, that's also another reason a lot of these paintings and pieces of art, sculptures and whatever were brought down. Oh, because some of them lived in the 18th century and we hadn't got rid of the slave trade by then. They then get rid of William Wilberforce, by the way, who was the pioneer of ending the slave trade in the Empire. So there's no consistency here anyway. It's literally just more women, because they still think it's 2014. So a bunch of paragraphs about people like Nelson and Sir Francis Drake being taken down because Black Lives Matter complained about them 5 years ago, and therefore because of some tenuous links to slavery. Sir Francis Drake, by the way, never captained the ship and then partook in slavery. He only did it when he wasn't in command of ships. But anyway, because of that, they've been taken down because they bent the knee to them, and images of national heroes have been removed. Portraits of landed grandees, including Ms. Cooper, the Home Secretary, have been installed as part of an ongoing effort to boost gender and ethnic diversity. Just to make it clear how narcissistic this revolution is, they have taken down great heroes of our past who annihilated French navies, assured our place as world hegemon. These great men who did great things in our past have been taken down in favour of this. This is what we are replacing portraits of Nelson with. This is what we are replacing our great men of history with people who have been in positions of power for a few years and done nothing but make the country worse. What has Yvette Cooper done of note? What has she done that is even comparable to the Duke of Wellington, to Winston Churchill, to Admiral Nelson? How can she even compare herself to these war heroes, these people who saved Britain in multiple eras? What has Yvette Cooper done for us? What has she done for the British people? What has Yvette Cooper done to earn herself, let alone a portrait, a grand portrait like this, to even be made of her? Because I doubt that this portrait was created using her own money. I would not be shocked to find out taxpayer money went into this and that the artist or photographer was overpaid for it. They gave her a halo. There is only one reason you would have a circular golden imagery behind someone's head, and that is to make a halo. In what way is Yvette Cooper in any way an angel of time? This is the end point of this revolution that has absolutely no coherent direction whatsoever, and is nothing but about bringing down people of the past. I suppose that makes her an angel of time, seeing herself as this angel to destroy everything that came before her and have a timeless, one-size-fits-all government that is completely going to bring about utopia. What is this? I cannot believe that this image has not only been created, but has been put up to replace our great men of history. What mythology is this creating? What is this saying? This is saying women are better than men. That is what this revolution is all about. That is what feminism has been for some time. Men have noticed. And unfortunately, what it's offered women is an awful lot of incentives to get women on that side. Because why wouldn't they? Oh, we offer women security, dignity. We offer them the power to dictate everything in their own lives. And this is all at the expense of men, and this is why men have not moved very far from the norm, or at least young men, whereas young women all seem to be going radically left-wing. Because it's offering them everything, and it's just simply unrealistic. And the question we really need to ask is, what can we actually do to fight these incentives and these promises that are in no way enforceable, but are still attractive to all these young women? And it's a question that really does need to be answered, because really we need to it's hard to sell a reality check, is what I'm saying here. But this is the end result of not having this reality check. You end up with everything to do with the male of the species being removed from areas in place of women who have done absolutely nothing. She's been elected a few times and been minister. Right, I understand that. Everyone in Parliament, every picture in Parliament had men and people who did far more than win a popularity contest a few times within both the party and within their constituency. As I say, I could go on about this for some time, but I think I've made my point. This is the end point of the revolution. This is peak feminism. I don't think we're going much further than this. There was a tweet put out the other day saying, when do we think peak woke was? And everyone was saying 2020. I don't understand how we're saying that when things like this are still happening. We have institutionalised woke here. Woke is being so entrenched in institutions that this cross-party committee, by the way, this isn't just Labour that decided this, decided that pictures of our national heroes need to be taken down in favour of Black Lives Matter's whims, and instead put in all this feminist and diversity nonsense into the halls of power. Because this is what they will be seeing every day, and this is the vision they have for Britain, and it looks horrendous. How is this not peak woke? How do you get any more woke than this? I would love to hear your examples. Because as I say, we're still in clown decade. Things are only going to get worse before they get better. And symbolism like this shows just how bad things can go. You're going to get worse artwork, you're going to get worse laws, you're going to get worse people in power until we actually do something about this. And I think that largely includes getting people away from this paradigm towards the one that reform opens the door to. Reform is not the end-all and be-all. That has never been the point. The point of reform is to give two fingers to this and say, we need a whole new paradigm where politicians actually try and fight for the centre ground of where people's attitudes are. And that is not happening here. People's attitudes generally do not include Yvette Cooper effectively being the angel of Parliament. That is not included in anyone's vision of the future. Not even rabid leftists think this. Rabid leftists don't even really know who Yvette Cooper is. As I say, absolutely ridiculous. I cannot even believe this was made. But anyway, if I keep ranting, I could end up ranting forever, so I think I'll leave it there. Shill time, Laughing at the Guardian on Saturday, do come along to that. Videos out as and when I can make them, simple as that. Next Monday, hopefully this time we'll actually finish the Peloponnesian Wars. But I don't know how Jack's gonna feel, so, take it with a pinch of salt. Tuesday it's Tosh Talks. I don't know what the topic is yet. If you want to be involved in the poll or nominations of said topics, join the Worcester Club down below. If you'd like to help out the channel, do subscribe, give it a like, put a comment in the not in the description, I write the description, but put a comment down below telling me what you think about all this. If you want to help directly, you can always give a super thanks in the comments. You can give a super chat on any stream that I do, whether it's here or over on the Worcester Club. And then, finally, you can become a member, getting access to all my previous streams. That's hundreds of hours of content. If you ask me, it's a steal. Right, with that, everything I had for you for today. Once again, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.